Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing how you can be signing one new client a month with LinkedIn. Because what I find that a lot of the coaches I'm speaking to are really just looking for that, right? They're looking to sign one new client a month. If they could do that, that would make all the difference for them. So in this video, I want to share how you can use LinkedIn to do just that. And I want to show you what I would be doing as a coach myself. So, really, what I'd look to focus on is three things, right? I look to focus on your profile, I look to focus on your content, and look to focus on outreach as well, right? I believe these are the only areas you should really have to worry about if you're focusing on lead generation. So, let's talk about the profile real quick. So for the profile, this is really important because this is the type of stuff that is not only going to attract the right people, but you also want to use it to repel the wrong people as well. Because if you're someone that is potentially getting like unqualified, sort of like leads, prospects, sales calls coming in, then this might be partly why you're having this struggle. So what can we do about this? Well, really, there's a few areas I like to focus on, but the whole idea with the profile is this. We want to make sure that we clearly communicate exactly the core result. The core result we help our clients get. Now, usually I'll tend to show this in the banner. Why? Because the banner is the first thing your ideal clients are going to see, right? When they come across your profile, when from your content, maybe you've outreach, maybe you send a connection request, this is what they're going to see. And this banner up here is usually the first thing they'll look at before they start going down. And so, what I like to do with my own banner is make sure that the core result I get my clients is up there. So, for example, mine, I believe at the moment, it's literally more revenue for your business, right? It's very to the point, it's very clear, and means that if that aligns with the person that has reviewed my profile, they're going to know that I can help them to some degree. So, that's the first thing, right? We want to share that core result that we can get. The other thing we want to be able to do is we want to obviously be able to share a bit more about who we help, what we do, and how we do it. And you have to apologize for my scribbly handwriting. The reason why I want to do this is pretty damn simple, right? Because if we're trying to attract the right people and repel the wrong people, we need to be able to show exactly who we help, what we do, and how we do it. Right now, for me, this often comes with the headline, right? So, obviously, with the profile, we've got our banner up here. We want to then actually put this in the headline here because this is the next thing people are going to read. And the headline is also something that is being shown, pretty much like, well, obviously at the center of your profile when people sort of see you anyway. And you don't want to overcomplicate this. And the reason why I have it as just these three is that it makes it super clear and to the point, to see actually, okay, do they help me? Do they solve the problem like that I need? And how do they do it? Very to the point. So, for example, mine is I help coaches sign clients through LinkedIn. It's very to the point. Sure, yours doesn't have to be as specific and like short as that. But at the end of the day, if you can say the same thing in less words and make it clearer for your ideal clients, that's all that matters. We're not trying to use any fancy languages or trying to fancy it up. We're trying to be clear. Trying to be clear because that's what matters at the end of the day. So that's pretty much that. Now, the only other thing I would say that you could do with your profile as well is showing social proof, or at least just proof that you do get results. And this will usually, in my opinion, be using the featured section and showing social proof, like testimonials, say case study, video testimonials. Put that in your featured section. What that's going to do, it's going to make it a lot easier for your ideal clients to know you get results, to know that what you're doing works, or at least, at the very least, that people that have worked with you have enjoyed and been pleased that they work with you. So that's really that for the profile, right? If you can apply those three areas, I think it can be really useful. So next we have content. Now, the content is really important to have. Now, sure, you've probably heard it before, getting inbound leads from content. I don't believe that's necessarily the main thing, right? Getting inbound leads from content is ideal. However, what's also important is being able to actually speak to your ideal client, right? Right? Like, sure, the person that sees your content now might not necessarily, buy immediately, but if they see your content a few times and each of those times it resonates with them, they then might reach out. Or perhaps when you reach out to them, they're more open to speaking, right? So it's very difficult a lot of the time to track, say how many inbound leads your content's bringing. So what I like to do is I really like to hone down on, is my content speaking to my ideal client? Now, what does that mean, right? So usually when it comes to content, I'm liking to, I like to focus on, okay, what sort of pain slash fear can I bring into this, right? I don't try and do too many multiple. I usually aim to actually pick one person to speak to, one problem to speak to, and then maybe a solution or some solutions that come under actionable steps, right? Speak to a pain or fear. This is naturally going to hook your ideal client in, right? If you put the pain or the fear that they are dealing with in the hook of your post when they're scrolling through the feed or just happen to come across you, that is what they'll see, and that will naturally make them hook, or at least more hooked to actually look at what you're doing. That's the first thing. The next thing, what you want to be able to do is really, assume you've obviously, called them out, which is ideal, is then be able to give a solution or bracket solutions. Right now, depending on the type of post you're making, this will vary. Right. Let's say, for example, you're trying to, like really just promote your services a bit more. The solution might be to work with you. Now, if you're gonna do more of that route, I would strongly, strongly advise you include proof with your content, right? So, for example, when I'm say sharing a post about, say, like the amount of calls that I've booked, for myself or maybe for clients, I'm also going to include a screenshot of, whether that be a screenshot of a calendar, whether it be a screenshot of just an email of all of the actual, you booked a call thing. Like, I'm going to include proof in there to prove that, right? Because a lot of people can be all talk, but have nothing to show for it. However, right, obviously that's one way, right? So you can go the social proof way and more, I suppose, down the selling route. However, the other way you can go is actionable steps, right? So being able to give actionable next steps for that pain slash fear that they have, or really just the problem they have, is going to be key, because if they can apply this and get and see results from it, like no matter how small, this is gonna be really big because they know that, well, you help them, well, to some degree, get to this result, right? You help them get one step closer, even if it was very small. And what it does is that this builds up trust, right? It builds up, it makes them like you more, and so on and so forth. It basically gives all the stuff that you need to effectively close them, right? Like, so for example, they might then reach out to you, or in other words, for example, if you were to reach out to them, if they've already gotten value from what like you've sort of given them for free, chances are they're going to see more value when they're actually working with you. So that's usually what I like to focus on content, because I find that as long as you're speaking to a relevant pain or fear and you're giving either social proof to show that your solution, aka your service, works, or actionable next steps to build trust, then that's key. So then lastly, we have outreach. Now, outreach really is what you need to be doing effectively, I'd say regularly, right? Because if you can add this all together, what this is going to allow you to do is really just reach those ideal clients, and be able to book sales calls. Now, quite simply, I follow a similar process to this, right? Or, as a summary. First and foremost, you want to be able to connect with your ideal client. Now, for me, I use Sales Navigator. I'll make a very specific list of my ideal client, and I will send out connection requests to them, 20 to 30 every day. Now at the moment, I have an automation that basically helps me do that more automatically. Um, and this is something that I also teach to my clients as well, which basically means that every day when I wake up, I can open my connections and I can see new people that have accepted my connections that could be potential ideal clients like a book a call with. So that's the first thing. So first we connect with them. Then once we've actually connected with them, I will gather my new connections, and I'll also gather people that are perhaps followers, or even people that have engaged, and I'll look to then send them a first message. And all this message is going to focus on is really trying to do two things. It's trying to two things. It's trying to do two things, and what it's trying to do is this. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to be able to personalize the message. Personalize the message, and by that I don't mean, hey name, saw your post on this, it was good, or like what you did with this, right? We want to try and compliment them on something they genuinely appreciate, right? So, for example, if I see someone's recently started a podcast, or they're, I don't know, on episode 30 of a podcast, or they've been releasing this blog for a while, or, something that they would care about, I'm going to compliment them on about it. I'm going to say, hey, it's really good that you've been able to be so consistent in this, or I can see you're putting a lot of effort into this specific thing, right? You want to make sure that the way you personalize things and the way you give compliments is something that they could only receive, right? It's only something that could be really said to them. Because if you can do that, all this basically signals to them is that, oh, they've actually taken the time to look at what I'm doing and, like, basically show that they've taken interest in me, and I'm not just some, random, person in the pipeline, right? They feel a bit more seen. That's really the main thing. Then the next thing you want to do is really just ask a question. Now, this question for me, I usually like to have it as a almost like a qualifying question. Now, this for me is usually trying to really ask a specific question, which really for them gives them an opportunity to go, no, no, I don't really want to talk to you, or yes. So, for example, for me, I will usually ask a question around LinkedIn, right? Because that's how that's basically the stuff that I do, and that I help coaches with. And so usually I might ask them something along the lines of, how their LinkedIn lead generation is going along, and if it's coming along well, right? The reason why I ask this, and bearing in mind, yes, it's a very specific question, a very specific first question. The reason being is that I want to, as quickly as possible, I want to identify if they have a problem, or at least, sorry, a problem that I can solve. Because if they have a problem I can solve and they open up to it, it makes it incredibly easy for me to then immediately propose a call. Propose a call to chat more. That's that. If I then ask that question and, they either ghost me, I'll probably follow them up. If they say that they don't have a problem with it, I might ask a few more questions just to really clarify. So, for example, if they say lead generation is good, I might say, "Oh, okay, great." And then I might ask, I don't know, something along the lines of, are the leads consistent enough? Are they qualified enough? Or something just to check, right? But the thing is that if they don't have a problem, there's no point pursuing the conversation further, because there's no way I could help them. And so this is why, I mean, it's gotten to a point for me where there's very little back and forth, like a lot of the time, when I'm messaging prospects, right? Because it's very much I'll personalize the message. I'll ask a very specific question around sort of LinkedIn and lead generation, and if they open up about a problem or if they talk about it briefly, I might want to clarify it. But when they've opened up, I then propose a call to chat more, because ultimately, if they've opened up to me about a problem in the messages, chances are they're going to be pretty open to chatting more about it on a call. So overall, this is pretty much the process that I would use to be closing. I mean, if I was aiming to close a new client every month with a coach, these are the three areas I'd focus on. Because honestly speaking, once you've done the profile and you optimize the profile, that's done, right? You don't need to worry about the profile. You don't need to touch it. I mean, I haven't touched my profile. I mean, at the time of recording, for months now, right? And all it means is that all I then have to focus on is content, which I basically batch, create, and record at the time of the video, one day per week. And then really from there, once I've made my content, it's then just doing outreach majority of days. And if you're just doing warm outreach, with, say, people that you've, just connected with and that have seen you before, this isn't going to be a crazy amount of volume either. But if you can follow this process that I've sort of shared here, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to actually attract the right people and get on calls with qualified people, because it makes more sense to me to book, say, a couple calls a week with qualified prospects than to be booking lots of calls with people that aren't really that qualified. So overall, this is pretty much the video, because I think if you can follow and actually improve in the profile, content, outreach area, you're going to find it a lot easier to start closing, or at least getting more booked calls with ideal clients to help close them. Now, if this is something that you are actually struggling with at the moment, and you're open to actually hearing how I could help you with this, then make sure to actually visit my website, which you'll be able to see, I think, probably in the description of this, see a bit more about if or how I could help you. But with that being said, hope you found this useful, and I'll see you chat soon.